let's look at task 6. I'll try to explain it a little bit, then we can dive into it. So you're supposed to create a class file storage that will serialize instances to a JSON file and deserialize the JSON file to back to instances. So this is like let's say before we create this file storage, what we already have is what we already have is just the base model, and we create an instance of this base model. So we use to-dig method to serialize the object base model object to a dictionary, and then we also deserialize the dictionary to back to the base model. But just imagine we have a base model object that we want to save so that it can be used later when the program is restarted. So we need a way to represent and store the object's data persistently. That's what this file storage is for. To be able to serialize the instance to a JSON file, that is storing the objects to a JSON file, and whenever we need it again, we can deserialize it and convert it back to an instance. So this is the flow of serialization, what we are going to implement in this task 6. So the flow is first when the instance of base model is created, is first converted to a dictionary representation using this to-dict method, and then this dictionary, we use dict method and is converted to the class dict. So next is to convert the dictionary representation to a JSON string. So that's where the jc.doms comes in. So JSON, as we all know, JavaScript object notation, is a standard format that is both human readable and can be easily processed by programming languages. JSON string representation of data is always widely supported. So when we save this to a JSON file, which is of a class string, so this file, it acts as a storage medium and allows us to persistently store data between program runs. It's the point where the object's data becomes durable and it won't be lost when the program exits. So the next thing to do is, now when we need this to create an instance again from the JSON file, from the values in the JSON file, what we have to do is to deserialize it, that is convert it back from the JSON to a dictionary. That is because we need to recreate the base model object. So we convert it back to a dictionary, and then from a dictionary we convert it back to a base model, which is a representation, which is the base model class itself. So in essence, this process, what it does is to ensure that we can save the state of our objects to a file, and then later retrieve and recreate these objects from the saved file. Is a method to make data persistent and shareable across different instances of the program. So first thing we are going to do is to open this file, we create this path for the JSON file, and then the variable to store all objects that are created, and then I think okay, let's start with the 2. So I'll go into my models and then into the engine directory, and then open a file called the file storage.py. So I've imported JSON because we are going to work with JSON module and the OS, and then I've imported base model too. I've already created the class. So we are going to create a private class attribute that stores the path to the JSON file where the objects or instances will be serialized and stored. So, so it's going to be a private class attribute path, and it's going to be file.json as the name of the file. And then secondly, we create a private class attribute that is an empty dictionary, and use it to store objects by class name.id. For example, if a base model if a base model object with id, so if a base model object, if it's base model, so it's going to be like the key is going to be base model dot id 12, just like that. So we are going to first create the new method. I'm not saying that it's a new method, I'm saying name of the method is new. The new method, which is going to be used to add a new object to the class attribute, going to be used to add objects to this attribute, which serves as the storage for all the objects in our application. So it's going to be take two parameters, object and then self. So self represents the instance of the file storage, while this object is the object that we want to add to the storage. Like if we, after implementing this method, if we go to base model, this new, we're going to add it to the constructor, so that whenever a base model is created, the instance of the base model created will be passed to this, and this will in turn save it to this dictionary. So to do this, we have to first construct the key name. So you say object class name will be equal to the object itself dot object dot class dot name. So this will give us the class name base model, and then we're going to construct a key for the object in the format class name dot object id. So we say key is equal to, of course we use string format, dot is that one for class name, then for id, then dot format, and then we pass in this variable which is the class name, followed by the object dot id. So this key is unique for each object and allows us to identify and retrieve the object later. Then finally, the object is added to the class attributes, which is a dictionary storing all objects, this one. So we say file storage that object. So we pass in the key, which is going to be the key, and then the object itself, which the key was created from, will be the value. So this method will be added to the base model constructor, so that whenever an object of the base model is created, the new method will be called and the base model will be passed to the new method, and then the object will be stored. So next is to define the to create the all method. So This all method will be just responsible for retrieving all the objects stored in this variable, in this dictionary. That is, this here, the object dictionary is empty. Then when this new method is called, it saves an object with the key to here, and then to retrieve the objects from here, we simply call this method all. So for this one, we just return file storage. Let me get it from here, because that's what this one is, just to retrieve it, that's all. And then the next is the save method. The save method, the job of save method is to serialize the object dictionary into a JSON format. That is to save the objects to a JSON format for storing, for a reuser. So in order to serialize all the objects stored, the first thing we do is to retrieve the objects from the dictionary where they are stored from this dictionary where we know we are stored. So we retrieve it and save it to a variable called all objects, and then we just retrieve it from here, say save it to all objects. So we will have to store the serialized objects in a variable, so we create an empty dictionary to store them. We say object dictionary, and then the next thing we do is to iterate through the keys in the stored objects dictionary. We iterate through the keys stored here because we want to serialize them into a JSON format. So we loop through, we say for each object in all objects dot keys. First we want to grab the key, where each key is a unique identifier of each object. So for each object key, the value is set and saved to the empty dictionary object that we created to store with, like this. We say object dictionary, which is this empty one we create. We are going to fill it up, populate it. So we pass in the object and then we say all objects, which is the dictionary representation of all of the objects, and then we pass in objects too, and then we call the to dict method So the value of each of the object is obtained by calling this to dict method on the object, which serializes the object to a dictionary. So the object will be the key and the value will be to the dictionary representation of it. So next thing we do is to open a file for writing using the class attribute, which is the path for JSON file. This one, we are going to open the file using it. So we say with open as file. Of course, first we pass the, where is it? No, should be this one. File storage dot file path. So which is the path, and then we open it in write mode, and then we are going to use the UTF-8 for encoding. which is just sensing with all of the ASCII characters of the ASCII table are inside this UTF-8. So here we serialize the object dictionary into a JSON format by using the JSON.dump function. So we just say JSON.dump, and then we pass in the objects, okay, obj object underscore dict, and then the file we want to write to. So what this does, this just handles this realization, converts it to a JSON to a JSON file, all of the objects. So the next thing to do is reload, create a method for reload, which the work is to deserialize. Deserialize, that's converting the JSON file to a Python object. So to deserialize the JSON file and load the contents, we first check if the specified path is already existing. If it doesn't exist, nothing will happen, but if it exists, then of course we open it. So say if os.path that we use is file to check if it's existing, and then we pass in file storage dot file path, and then let's say it's existing. So if it exists, we open the file path in a read mode, because when we were serializing, we opened in the write mode because we are writing to it, but since we are deserializing, we are going to open it in a read mode because we want to read from it. So we say read open as file again, and then we pass in the file path, then followed by the mode, which is read mode, and then we need to use the same encoding to avoid complication. So it's going to be UTF-8 again. So we are going to use a try block to handle any exception that might arise during the deserialization process. So we say try, and then first thing is we read the content of the JSON file and then pass it into a dictionary. So we say JSON.load to read. Remember, we use JSON.dump to write, so we are using JSON.load, and then we are going to save it to a variable called object dictionary. So the object dictionary here contains the converted objects. So we are going to loop through the items in this same object dictionaries. So we say for key and value in object dictionary dot items. So remember that the stored object key is made up of the class name dot id, that is, let's say base model dot 1234 etc. So we have to separate the class name from the id, so we are going to split the key. So we say class name, which we're going to use to save the key, and then we say object id, which we are going to use to save the id. Class name, we save the class name. ID, we save the id, because basically the key in this object dot items will be maybe base model dot 2424. So base model will be saved to class name, 2424 will be saved to object id. So we use the key chain with the split method, split, and then we're going to split it by the dot, Let me push this down. So we are going to use the eval function, to recreate instances of the classes based on the class name extracted from the serialized data. So we just say CLS is equal to, we use the eval function, and then we pass in the class name that we retrieved when we split the keys into two. So we are going to create an instance of the class using the class type obtained from this class name, and is initialized with the deserialized values from the value. Let me show you. Ins so instance will be class, that's here this variable, because if we have evaluate, we use the eval function to evaluate this, and we've recreated the classes based on the class name, extracted it and saved it to this one. So here what we do is, this is like saying this is like creating an instance, because here this class name now is base model. So eval has transformed, let me say transform this to an instance of that, to the base model class, and saved it to this variable. So here when we say instance, it's like saying base model 1 is equal to base model, and then we pass it we could say args, but this time we are going to pass in these values, this value that we got when we deserialize the JSON file. So we say values. So next thing we are going to do is we store the newly created instance. This newly created instance, we store it in the file storage object dictionary, with the key being the identifier obtained from the file. Like we say file storage that objects, and then we pass in key call to instance. So what we've done here is just to excuse me, what we've done here is just to save it back to this. So next is we need to complete this except block, except, so we just accept exception, because according to the task we shouldn't do nothing. So if we should catch any exception that might occur during the deserialization process, if it's caught, so it should be ignored using the pass, ensuring that the method doesn't raise an exception. So that is it for this one. So again, there's something else we are supposed to do. Okay, we've cleared all this. So we are going to go to this package, to this init file, and then import file storage and create a variable storage as an instance of file storage, then call reload. Okay, so cd, should I cd models? Okay, vi models slash, so we say from models dot engine dot file storage, we import file storage, and then we should create an instance of the file storage called storage. So storage is equal to file storage, and we should call the reload dot re dot reload. Because this is it for this one. Mm, so what's next? Let me see. Then we should update the base model to file storage by using the variable storage. So we import storage. So we in the method save we call save. Okay. So we should go to models slash base model dot file, and then we import models. So what we are going to do here, what you are told to do here is to call the storage, call this, let me just type it out, models dot storage dot new. So what we're doing here is we call this model dot storage dot new, and then we pass in self to store the current object in the object dictionary. That's the class attribute in file storage. So what it means that whenever an instance of this base model class is created, the instance, which means this init method, the constructor is called. Whenever it's called, the instance will be passed to this. That's the object will be passed to this file storage method new. So now the base model object will be saved to the object dictionary. That's the dictionary that is a class attribute in the file storage, which is now with the file storage, we know is a collection of all the base model objects. So that's what it's doing. So, and we are told to, what else? Let's see. Okay. So again, whenever the instance of base model is updated, that we should call the storage.save method of the file storage, so that we can serialize and save the current stage to the JSON file. So we say models.storage, we call the save method. Yeah. See what else? Did I miss something? Okay. I think we've got it out. It's remaining to write the test. Let's run this first. So I saved the test file to this tag6. Okay. Okay. Where's the parties file? Why am I right? Okay. See, it's now started to create this file. If you run it again, create another one. So let's open this file.json. So now we see that the key to this file object, to the JSON file, the key to each representation of the instance is base model dot the ID, which is the key, and then followed by the object itself, which is in a string format. So you see ID, created that, updated that, name, etc. So next thing is the test. Let me see the test. Always make sure you have this init method in all of your folders. So we go to see the test models. Always make sure you have it. Then see the test engine. Also have it in there. And then let's open this. I've already written this test. So for the test, I think the test is self-explanatory. Here we're testing the file storage instantiation. We assert that when we instantiate this file storage, it's the same type with the file storage itself, the class itself. Then if we instantiate it with a parameter none, it should raise a type error. This video is getting too long. I believe it's self-explanatory. I'll also try to put the link to the file in the description section. So that is it for this. Let's run the test. So